Mayong adlaw, brothers and sisters of Christ. Welcome to our episode of Gaza, 21 historical snippets to 2021. In every religious architecture, we see different artistic imageries using religious inspirations. These artistic forms correspond to a particular vocation, evoking and glorifying in faith and adoration, showing the eternal beauty of God. These are what we call sacred art. For 500 years now and beyond, sacred art forms a vital part of the Church, which continues to serve only one purpose: to know Him and adore Him. As we patiently wait for the celebration of the 500th anniversary of Christianity next year, 2021, join me as I take you on a digital trip featuring 21 historical churches, museums, and cemeteries here in the beautiful island of Cebu. And let's take a closer look at these sacred arts and understand its meaning and purpose. And don't forget to like and follow the official page of the Archdiocese of Cebu for the 500 years of Christianity and the CSR page of Smart Communications Incorporated, Smart Communities in Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm Brother Fares, aka Brother Lacochero. Tana, ubanta! Tana, ubanta! Located about 100 kilometers from Cebu City is the quiet fishing village of Boljoon. Just like the most of the towns in Cebu, Boljoon has its own story of the origin of its name in a supposed conversation that occurred between a native and a colonizer. The native was asked the name of the area was, to which they replied, Boljo. This word, when translated, meant gushing water. That is why several variations of the spelling Boljoon exist to this day, such as Boljoon or Boljoon with an H instead of J. The Spaniards did not just leave behind traces of their culture and influence, but also a handful of buildings that they had constructed over the time of colonization. Littered with heritage sites and historical structures, Boljoon was once the epicenter of development for culture and commerce. It is where the Spanish colonizers buckled down in their search for an abundance of fresh water and land for settlement and construction. However, due to its location alongside a wide bay, the town became vulnerable to Moro raids. Being the primary target for such attacks was hard on residents during the early 17th to 19th century. One such devastating attack happened in 1782 when the town was reduced to ashes. Not only houses, but the church as well as burned down, and the population took a big hit as their people were captured. Because of this, among the structures that the Spaniards put up were churches. They served the dual purpose of being a place to practice religion and being the source of protection for the people of Boljoon. For any history or culture buff interested in checking out the structures built by the Spaniards, the Nuestra Senora del Patrocino de Maria Parish Church should definitely be on top of the list. After it was rebuilt from the ashes a year after the devastating attack, the church was most probably constructed out of its own charred and burnt up remaining foundations. This is according to Paul Gershweiler, author of Boljoon, a cultural sketch, and other historical outlines. He also adds that it was Father Ambrosio Otero, then parish priest, who had the leftover foundations cleaned and repaired before replacing the damaged parts in order to rehabilitate the church. In 1802, the supervision of the church was taken over by Father Julian Bermejo, who finished its construction and took it in a different direction. Father Bermejo supervised the construction of a quadrangle fort that enclosed the surrounding structures of importance and made the church the fortress that it is today, with its high walls made of thick pilasters of mamposteria. In between columns are walls of mortar mixed with lime, and its rows of very high windows on the side walls. He believed that the church needed to be created in a way that provided better defense and protection from the raids that plagued the town. While the church did not spare any effort on making sure its foundations were durable and sturdy, the same can also be said proudly about its artistry. Some of the most eye-catching features of the church include its facade, its ceiling, and its retablos. The face of the church is designed similarly to the facades seen in Dalaget and Sambuan. It has horizontal cornices that into 3 levels, while the pediment is further divided by another horizontal cornice. This makes for an illusory 4th level that is unique only to the Church of Boljoon. Moreover, the facade features the Augustinian seal with one carving that is on coral stone and a smaller version of this that is carved on the keystone of an arch, Puerta Mayor. In the 1930s, a local artist by the name of Miguel Villarreal painted the church's ceiling. While it was not as grand as its neighboring parish ceilings, Villarreal's work was still a praiseworthy piece of artistry. Aside from the painting the church ceilings, the local artist also painted the ceilings at the main hall of the convento. The L-shaped convent was connected to the left of the church. It had access to the choir loft, and it also had an expansive living room. The ceiling paintings were eloquent and complex, while the images depicted were mostly vague, and it couldn't be confirmed if they were about Boljoon or not. They showed some very prominent elements that were present in the Spanish period. Meanwhile, the magnificent retablos displayed are clear and accurate in their portrayal of different saints and religious names, such as Jesus Christ or the Señor Santo Niño. Made of gilt wood and filled with statues, the retablo is painted in a noble combination of white and gold, and the statues that sit in its niches are sometimes used during processions. For safekeeping, the original antique estofado images are now kept at the museum. One could say that it is the great care and the thoughtfulness over these ornaments that keep them in mint condition until this day. Having withstood the wear and tear of time, with 90% of the edifice still made of its 19th century original construction, the authenticity of this church should be considered a historical treasure worthy of preservation, a fact that has been recognized even by the National Historical Institute, which earned the church the distinction of being a National Historical Landmark in 1999. In addition to this, in 2001, the church was declared a National Cultural Treasure by the National Museum. The Nuestra Senora del Patrocino de Maria Parish Church also happens to be the only church in the entire country that has an almost intact enclosure. Despite its long grief-stricken history, the Nuestra Senora del Patrocino de Maria Parish Church remains resolutely standing until this very day. It continues to serve as a sanctuary, both for the spiritually and physically helpless. Amazing, isn't it? When travel restrictions will be relaxed soon, make sure to visit the historic church in Boljoon and see for yourself its beautiful and distinct architecture, integrated with sacred arts. And don't forget to take photos. Thank you very much for joining me in today's digital trip featuring Nuestra Senora del Patrocino de Maria Parish Church. Before you go, make sure to download the Panaw sa Pagtuo mobile app, both available in iOS and Android. This is a component of the Traveling Exhibit Project by the Archdiocese of Cebu's Commission for the Cultural Heritage of the Church, Smart Communications Incorporated, and Inopub Media, titled Panaw sa Pagtuo, The Journey of Faith at 500 Years of Christianity. Thank you very much, and let's #travel smart very soon. Next time, uban gihapon ta ha! Tana, ubanta.